Knowing how to fly your ship is one thing, staying alive while doing so is another. There are several important factors to keep in mind in most scenarios, like situational awareness, understanding your ship's strengths, making use of all the available tools you have, and in cases like PvP, knowing your opponent and the capabilities of their ship. Other useful considerations include things like power management and customizing your control bindings. Let us start with situational awareness. A basic part of this is knowing your enemy's position. The UI helps here quite a bit. When you log on to a target, it provides aiming assistance and tracking support, but targets can still slip away, especially at longer ranges, so keeping track of their last known location can help you re-engage quickly. On the other hand, situational awareness also means knowing the environment you're fighting in. Are you in an asteroid field, near a space station, orbiting a planet, or just somewhere down in the atmosphere near the ground? Each of these environments offer different terrain features, I guess, different obstacles, and different types of cover, rocks, structures, debris. They can be used tactically. You can block missiles, break line of sight, or reposition safely in some cases. At the same time, reckless flight in these areas can backfire. One wrong maneuver and you slam into an asteroid or crash into the surface. And if you're flying through something like a storm or a fat cloud at night, you might not even notice how low you've gone until it's too late. In these situations, using the ping function can really help highlight nearby hazards and even spot the out-of-range vehicles. It's a small tool, but it adds a layer of spatial awareness that can prevent costly mistakes. And it's actually quite easy to use, just hold and release tab button. You can also press it, and it will highlight you this little soft ping that will discover nearby terrains, objects of interest and other things. Next thing to understand is your ship's strengths. Are you flying a fighter, or is it something else entirely? What kind of firepower do you have? How maneuverable is your ship? Are your weapons even optimal for your intended playstyle? Most small or perhaps even medium scale combat tends to revolve around fighter class ship, and each of them is specialized in their own way. For example, if you're flying something like the Anvil Arrow, a small and highly agile fighter, your goal should be to outmaneuver your opponent, forcing them into bad positions while using defensive maneuvers when needed. This is fairly easy to handle in PvE, but in PvP it takes some real practice to master it. Or perhaps let's pick something heavier like a medium fighter, the F7A Hornet. The goal with this ship shifts more towards maximizing the damage output. You may not be able to outfly smaller ships, but you can outgun them. Strike hard and strike fast. Dogfighting is still an option if your aim is solid. Larger ships like the Drake Cutlass Black, they do rely on different strength, usually focusing more towards multi-crew operations, multi-crew coordination. A gunner can help cover blind spots. But it's worth remembering that ships like the Cutlass aren't dedicated combat vessels like fighters. They perform well, but they might not be designed with the dogfighting in mind or other direct combat activities in similar scenarios like one-on-one ship fighting. This brings us to using all the tools available to us. A lot of pilots stick with just the primary weapons, often forgetting or ignoring missiles and countermeasures. Many don't really expect to deal with missiles, or perhaps just not use them effectively. A great example is using missiles when large gaps open up between you and your target. As size 1 and 2 missiles typically require about 1 kilometer distance to lock on, and that range, it isn't long. The opponents will have very little time to react. Swapping to missiles mid-combat and then back to guns isn't a vital skill, but it can be highly effective, and sometimes even land you an unexpected kill. There are also free look options for missile locks, meaning your target doesn't have to be right in front of you. Countermeasures are just as important. Personally, I recommend binding these flares and chaff to your mouse or joystick. Using keyboard keys for these can throw you off control mid-flight. Also, if you notice distance building up between you and a threat, don't hesitate to hold down the flare button and release several at once. Dropping 4 or 5 can be far more effective than just one. Your loadout also plays a critical role. Knowing your weapon range, projectile speed and velocity helps you avoid picking weapons that are too slow for close-range dogfights. In PvP, once again, it is vital to know what you're up against. Right now it feels like Hornets dominate the meta, but that doesn't mean every situation plays out the same way. You still have to avoid falling into traps of others like chasing a super agile ship or trying to brawl with something loaded for fully combat. Stealth ships also exist, and if you're not ready, they'll punish you well. PvP involves more than just head-on fights. Jousting, kiting, missile harassment, dogfighting, all of these are fair game. Faster ships might lean into speed advantage, use jousting or kiting to control engagement range. It does sound a lot easier than it actually is, but learning to use this distant control can make a lot of difference. Another layer would be power management. This can boost your offense or defense, manage cooling and reduce overheating. For example, maxing out the weapon power improves energy weapon regeneration, giving you more uptime and sustained fire. While it doesn't change the alpha damage, your DPS can increase significantly. This doesn't apply to ballistics as they don't rely on energy, but for energy-based builds, power tuning can be a game changer. Of course, the best teacher is experience, and if it's your first time, you might be in a rough start. Yet if you want to perform well, you will need all the right tools: weapons, shield and awareness. The knowledge and instinct will come with time. Having to experience this in Arena Commander will serve you well. Anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe and thanks for watching.